What is the most you paid for a coffee? I paid $6 today for a regular flat white. $7 for a large flat white in Perth. And it was shit. I got stung $8.50 yesterday at Tullamarine Airport. Desperate times and bloody desperate measures. $10 for a cappuccino in Melbourne, and tasted like ass. Edit bias, I mean it tasted like shit. I've had servo coffee that tasted better. Once in Venice, my husband really wanted to sit in Piazza San Marco and have coffee. €18 each for 2 cappuccinos. $8.50 since I pay the tummy ache tax and there's no other coffee shop in the shopping centre. $190. $5 for the coffee and the $185 for a parking fine. $12 for a mediocre ice long black at a rubbish franchise. $12 at Adelaide Airport. I also had to explain to the girl how to make a latte. This was years ago, but I'll always remember it. I paid $13 in Dubai for an Americano with milk, a latte was $6.50. I got robbed. The equivalent of about $20 a few years ago at an incredibly upmarket hipster place in New York, that was brewing their coffee single origin, from Peru, IIRC via apparatus that looked like something out of Breaking Bad. It was surprisingly good. Not $20 good, but I knew I was paying partly for the wank factor, and it did look pretty cool seeing the coffee being brewed so unusually. In Australia, probably around $7, $8 somewhere like Perth or an airport at stupid o'clock. $11.50 for an iced vanilla latte on oat milk. I'm lactose intolerant, and just prefer vanilla over sugar, and I didn't mind paying the combined extra $2 for both of those. Except I got full cream milk, maybe half a pump of vanilla, burnt espresso, and I'd been waiting so long that the ice had begun to melt and the water was floating on top of the milk. Took it back on the first sip, watched them remake the whole thing, and haven't bought another coffee out since. Free coffee at Mitre 10. $38. X200B. 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 I bought 1 kilogram of beans. About $1,000 dues. I went to Indonesia and had luwak coffee. $7.50 for a large flat white at Canberra Airport. It was literally the worst coffee I'd ever tasted. Had to throw it out after a few sips. I dunno, I'm quite happy with instant coffee. $803 for a hot chocolate. Thought my car was in neutral and let the clutch out and it lurched forward into the car in front. While in the drive-through due to the heavy flywheel it wrote off the Camry in front while my shitbox just needed a new layer of chrome on the bumper. At the arrivals hall of the International Terminal in Sydney. Iced latte $10.50. $10.50 for an iced coffee in St Leonard's, Sydney. $4.50 a few years back. Can't afford it these days, such a luxury item. I can get a whole 100g jar from Coles for $4, that'll do me. That's nothing. My mother was once invited to a corporate party in an ultra-luxe restaurant where 1 cup of coffee costed $800. In Moscow, Russia. $15 in London a few years ago. Pounded by the pound. $8.12 for an iced almond latte. In a dome lid. $8 for a small long black in the Perth airport, never again. $22 for some batch brewed nonsense in a Melbourne laneway. Poured in some special kettle thing with a long spout for extra wank. The wife needs lactose-free. Most places charge up to $1 extra for the special milk. She says that many places then make the coffee on normal milk anyway. If there's a 5 or higher at the front in not buying it. I think about $9 at Owner Coffee in Marrickville. It was really good though. It's time to transition from coffee to no-dos. $26 for 2 mediocre flat white coffees in Mall of the Emirates in Dubai. Currently in France, and you can't get a decent coffee for any amount of money. The food is tops, the cakes are out of this, the coffee. About $12 Australian, at the airport in Dubai. It was decent though. $11 for iced long black. I nearly shit my pants. Didn't buy it, but holy fuck did it send my jaw to the floor. Went to DFO South Wharf in Melbourne the other day and the Lindt store was selling an iced latte for like $10 or $12. WTF. $15 Australian for a latte in Zurich, Switzerland. Couldn't compare to the $1 Euro coffees all across Italy we experienced the fortnight prior. The least I paid for a coffee in a porcelain cup was $2.50 at a little Italian cafe in Brunswick, Melbourne. It was one of the best I ever had, besides Pellegrini's, Melbourne. Alimony and child support for 2 kids shrug medium skin tone emoji modifier ##. I think like $9 from Starbucks. I own a coffee machine now faced with tears of joy. $75. Was made using some weird bean that was kept into test tube in its own freezer. Was made by some spectacled barista telling me the story of the bean and the flavor notes. 710 coffee, 1010 experience, 210 value for money. Would probably do again. If anyone is in the Newcastle area on Fridays, the Mayfield Mosque gives away free coffee and it's actually pretty good. It's at about 1 p.m. after Jummah Pray. Any Zarafas. $6 flat white in Dev, Tars. Some places $5. Piccolo almond $4. Currently in hospital, a nice coffee would be so good. I went to a farm for an event. The owner's wife had a hot water urn, a large tin of international roast and a bowl of sugar. DIY into a small paper cup for $5. Edit. I also paid an entry fee to the event. $18 for a long black and a latte at Brisbane Airport. Next time I was at the airport, I brought my AeroPress grinder and just asked for boiling water, which they gave me for free. Was a million times better than the ones we paid for too. I just paid $8.79 for a 12-ounce decaf flat white with almond milk. In Maryborough. It's definitely a new record. I'm accustomed to working on my computer in cafes. Lately I've been taking a half-litre thermos of coffee to the library and working there instead. I estimate it will save me about $400 a month. $6.30 for a large latte. I find it worth it and the customer service is great. Don't even have to say my order, so to me it's worth going back frequently. $8.75 at some hipster vegan-y looking cafe and it was utter dog's hit. Whatever it is at Starbucks. Can't find proper iced Americano anywhere else. It is either cold brew piss or putting ice cubes in long black. $24 for filter at ONA, worth every dollar. I went through the exercise of annualizing the cost of my coffee at $5 a day if I only had one. $365 x 5, about $1,800 after tax, or about $2,400 gross. At $60 an hour I'm working 40 hours, a full week, just for a coffee a day. And that was being conservative about how often I allowed myself that treat, and it was often over $5. So that was that. It's too expensive. That week's pay now goes to actual life improvement LOL, and I'm more than happy with instant. $8 for a regular flat white in a hotel in Sydney. Being caught short away from any facilities. 1 pair of boxer shorts. Face with open mouth. $6 and that was pushing it, any more than that and they can shove it up their ass. $7, also happened to be burnt, one of the worst I have ever had LOL. $7 for a small coffee at an airport. Tasted like us by the way. $7.20 for regular flat white at Brisbane Airport. Just under $7.50 for a large flat white in suburban Melbourne. It gets more expensive deeper in the suburbs. My guess is no competitors around here, so they price it high. $8.50 for ice long black at Donut Shop.